All right, now we got that fixed. Okay. So let's bring this up here. There's a potential tropical cyclone threat just over the Bahamas. Currently at about 30-mile-an-hour winds. The millibars are 1,008. The formation chance for the next 48 hours is high, and also through the next 5 days. If you remember from the previous video that we talked about, we have the Saharan air layer. And all this is dry air that you see floating around. And there's the developing system, or trying to develop system right there. But you can see this air is getting in its way. What this air does and how much of it goes away is going to determine what it's going to do and where it's going to go. Currently, the European models are by Wednesday around noon. The center of the storm could potentially be about 111 miles per hour, which is not a tiny storm. But the models are very different right now, so we're going to start from today. We're going to start watching. Oh, I forgot I have my pen. Start watching here. This is really very early, and even though it's over the Bahamas, it's really early to tell because there's a lot of different factors. There's something going on up here too. A lot of different factors. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. This is Sunday at 6 a.m. We're at a surface level of 2,500 feet, which is about adequate. So there's the Tampa Bay area. There's the Orlando area. Palm Coast. Of course, we have Miami and all that down there. So far, we're not looking at a lot, like 50, 56. But this is Sunday at 6 a.m. going back to the Saharan air layer. Now we're going to slow this down some. Notice this right here. This is where we're looking at developing right there. And notice how, doesn't really tell me what date this is, but notice how this air right here gets out of the way. So there's no telling what's going to happen. So let's continue moving. Sunday at 9 noon. Sunday at noon is becoming a lot more developed because it's over open water, and that air layer is pretty much gone. It's kind of going to take a very similar track to Dorian. Now we are at Monday at 10 a.m. and we start seeing some really heavy development there. So Monday 10 a.m. we're potentially looking at winds about 65 miles an hour, roughly 67. I mean, you can move the pin all day long, it's going to change. Okay, let's go. Potentially Monday night, we're looking at a Category 1 hurricane hovering off the coast of the Carolinas and Florida. Again, I did say potentially. just like with Dorian, what's going to continue to help make this thing move or go is all this right up here. All right. There's no telling what's going to happen. There's some pretty bad activity going on there. You also have a jet stream here, and you've got one going this way. So depending upon, and again, this is like, you know, the bubble theory I was giving you earlier. You know, it's just sitting there. And remember, I told you the Farmer's Almanac predicted another one coming in around this time. So Tuesday at 7 a.m. We're getting close to Category 2 at this point. And Tuesday at 3 p.m. I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm just going to call it at 100 miles an hour. Tuesday 3 p.m. This could change. There's 112, Tuesday 6 p.m. See how fast that's just boom. $121 miles an hour. Now we're talking about a Category 3. 50 miles an hour on the coast here. Doesn't look too bad because it's kind of trying to go out to sea. And that's Wednesday 9 a.m. It's going to be a very fast developing system. Don't let anybody fool you. $120, that's a Category 4, I believe. And that's Wednesday at 8 p.m. I'm going to show you here in just a minute why this is potentially going to become a very fast developing storm, just very similar to Dorian, because the sea temperature is very warm. It's very warm everywhere. So and these are all these green lines you see here. These are currents. So don't mistake those for storms. You got a very weak current here. Probably should use a different color. Okay, so this is your currents. We'll change color again. And this is a very weak area right here. If the jet stream was right, you know, in the right conditions, it could go into the Gulf, but because it's not, it won't. That as of today, again, that could change. So, you know, so we have very warm waters. We have very warm waters, and this here is just a nice, clean infrared imagery of the storm. I'm going to change the color again to this one, and you can see here a nice developing storm right over the Bahamas. They don't need any more shit, but unfortunately they're going to get it. It's going to be very mild though, so they at least have that. But look at this right here. This is where we're going to be looking at right there. So, and again, all this gray black area right here, that's all that dry air I was telling you about. It can't do anything until that dry air goes away. All right, so there's that Saharan air layer, very thick off the coast of Africa right now. So anything that's thinking about doing any developing over here by Africa is probably not going to happen. But there is another one. I wish I could change the default. There's another storm system somewhere in here that is what they're projecting will do this. But it's very young in its stage. We don't even know if it's going to form, so we don't know. But that could potentially put us on that last October 1st threat that the almanac was saying. We could also have something coming off of here. I don't know. We're going to take it one storm at a time. But this is the other one here. Formation chances 0 right now to 40%. But that's because of this dry air. All right. So we have to watch that. If you're in the Midwest, you'll be seeing some severe thunderstorms here the next day or two. That's all I pretty much have right now. It's really early to tell. Now I'm going to run the GFS model just because I told you I would. But we want to watch this area here. And the GFS model is saying something completely different. It's not really indicating much development until it gets in over the Gulf. So I don't know. Let's play it. You can see it starting to develop now, Friday at 10 a.m. Now we're looking at Friday at 8 p.m. Now 38 mile an hour winds. It's severe, but it's not awful. All right. It's not until roughly, let's see, also it's taking a more northerly turn this way. Tropical force winds. And here's where it starts to develop once it gets out into the open waters of the Gulf. Still keeping that northerly trajectory. So let me do recall here before I wrap it up. So what we're saying here with the GFS model is it's going to do one of these, you know, like this. And again, nothing's set in stone, so please don't hold me to it. We're going to keep watching it as closely as we can, obviously. And then the European model is having it do a very similar track to Dorian, with it becoming a major hurricane. We'll put M here sometime next week. The GFS model is just predicting it to be just a hazard, a tropical storm, so we don't know. There's a lot of different tracks here with that particular, and there's a lot more models that I don't have access to, but what do we got here? Where is my models? Okay, I know they have it. Here we go. Well, they're a lot of help. Anyway, I'll put the models up on the community tab. But anyway, that's pretty much all I got right now. There's just way too much variable data to really tell, and it's just too far out. So if you like what you see, please consider subscribing, and thanks for watching. Have a great day.